The first time Adaizi saw Chief Obinna step out of his gleaming black SUV, she did not know that within 6 months, she would be sitting behind the wheel of that very car, driving him through the sun-soaked streets of Lagos, carrying a secret that could either break her or finally set her free. Adaizi had grown up watching her mother clean other people's houses, her small hands learning early that dignity was not about the size of one's bank account, but about the strength of one's spine. When her mother passed after a long illness, Adaizi was left with nothing but a driving license she had earned by working double shifts as a bus conductor, and a stubborn hope that refused to die no matter how many doors closed in her face. She applied to 20 companies before Falad Global Logistics finally called her in, not for an office job as she had hoped, but for the position of personal driver to the company's reclusive owner, a man the tabloids loved to whisper about, but rarely saw in daylight. On her first morning, dressed in a crisp black uniform that still smelled of the store, Adaizi stood outside the towering glass mansion in Ikoyi, with her heart hammering against her ribs. She had heard stories about Chief Obinna, how he had built his empire from a single shipping container to a fleet that moved goods across 3 countries, and how loneliness sat on him like a crown too heavy to remove. When he finally walked out, tall and quiet with tired eyes that had seen too much success and too little peace, he barely glanced at her before sliding into the back seat and telling her, in a voice flat with exhaustion, to simply drive. If you believe that kindness can survive even in a world obsessed with money and status, and that second chances can change a life forever, take a moment right now to like this video, drop a comment, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to Whispering Tales Stories so you never miss a story like this one. The days that followed were quiet, filled only with the hum of the engine and the occasional instruction from the back seat. Adaizi learned to read his silences the way sailors read the sky before a storm. She noticed how he skipped meals when work overwhelmed him, how his shoulders sagged when he thought no one was watching, how he sometimes asked her to take the longer route home, just so he could sit a little longer with his thoughts before facing the empty mansion waiting for him. One afternoon, when his driver's door jammed and he struggled with frustration mounting in his voice, Adaizi quietly stepped out, walked around, and fixed it herself with a screwdriver she kept in her bag, a habit from years of maintaining her mother's old car. Obinna stared at her, surprised, and for the first time asked her name properly, not as an employee, but as a person. From that day, something between them began to shift, slow and unspoken, like the first warmth of morning sun cutting through Lagos fog. He started sitting in the front seat instead of the back, claiming he wanted fresh air. Though everyone around him could sense the truth was something deeper, Adaizi, however, guarded her heart carefully. She had seen too many stories of women who dared to love above their station and were crushed under the weight of family, expectations, and social judgment. She reminded herself daily that she was his driver, nothing more, no matter how her chest tightened whenever he laughed at something she said, or how her hands trembled slightly whenever their fingers brushed while he handed her a bottle of water during long drives through the city heat. The challenge came fiercely one blistering afternoon when Obinna's mother, a formidable woman named Chief Mrs. Ronke Adisa Falade, arrived unannounced at the office demanding to know why her son had been seen laughing with his driver in public, an act she considered a disgrace to the family name. She confronted Adaizi in the parking lot, her voice sharp enough to slice through the humid afternoon air, warning her to remember her place before she found herself unemployed and humiliated in front of everyone who mattered in Lagos society. Adaizi stood her ground, her voice trembling but steady, insisting that she had never asked for anything beyond her salary, and that respect, unlike wealth, could not be inherited, only earned. Word of the confrontation spread through the company like wildfire, and soon whispers followed her everywhere. Colleagues sneering, drivers gossiping in the parking garage, everyone certain she was scheming her way into a fortune she did not deserve. Obinna, hearing of his mother's cruelty, did something no one expected. He called an emergency meeting of the senior staff, not to discuss company strategy, but to publicly commend Adaizi for her diligence, her honesty, and the day she had once refused a bribe from a rival company executive who tried to buy information about his schedule. He reminded the room, voice firm with quiet authority, That character could not be measured by the uniform someone wore, and that he trusted her. Judgment more than he trusted men who had sat in boardrooms their whole lives, without ever getting their hands dirty. The room fell silent, and for the first time, Ares felt something she had almost forgotten existed. Being seen, truly seen, not for what she lacked, but for who she was. Yet fate was not finished testing them. A rainy season storm one late afternoon forced them to pull over on the outskirts of the city when the car's engine began to smoke, stranding them both far from home as evening threatened to fall. While waiting for help, Obinna finally spoke the words he had carried silently for weeks, admitting that his admiration for her competence had long grown into something far deeper, something that frightened him because of everything it might cost: his family's approval, his social standing, the comfortable distance he had always kept between himself and vulnerability. Edith, her voice breaking with years of swallowed pain and quiet longing, confessed that she had fallen for a man who saw her worth long before the world ever would, but she feared that love built on unequal ground was destined to crumble beneath the weight of judgment. It was Obinna's mother, surprisingly, who became the turning point of the story. After days of watching her son grow quieter and more withdrawn following Adaizi's near resignation, Chief Mrs. Adisa Falad visited Adaizi's modest apartment unannounced, expecting to find a manipulative woman chasing wealth. Instead, she found humble walls decorated with a framed photograph of Adaizi's late mother, handwritten notes of gratitude from strangers she had helped over the years, and a woman who spoke about her son not with greed, but with genuine concern for his well-being and happiness. Moved beyond words, the older woman broke down in quiet tears, admitting that she had judged too quickly, blinded by fear of scandal rather than seeing the goodness standing plainly before her. By the time the sun set gently over Lagos that evening, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and gold, Chief Mrs. Adisa Falad stood beside her son and Adaizi, offering not resistance but her blessing, admitting that true wealth was never about title or inheritance, but about finding someone who made your heart feel safe. Obinna took Adaizi's hand in front of the small gathering of staff and family who had come to witness the moment, declaring that he no longer cared what society whispered, because he had finally found in his driver something money could never buy: real, undeserved, patient love. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video and leave a comment below, because your support means more than you know and helps this channel keep sharing stories like this one. Before you go, drop the word grace in the comments if you believe love can rewrite anyone's story, no matter where they started from. And so, under the wide daylight sky of Lagos, two people who had been taught by life to expect very little found in each other everything they never knew they deserved, proving once more that kindness, patience, and quiet strength will always find their way home.